As you drive along Agwins Kodek Road, you'll definitely see this signboard. The Nairobi Women's Hospital was established 7 years ago. But just how did this novel idea come about? The dream starts as Dr. Sam Thenya, an obstetrician gynecologist by profession and also the CEO, was doing the usual crunching of statistics for a research project. What he found out shocked him.
65% of women we surveyed in the communities reported some form of violence in the previous 1 year. And I thought, this is possibly not true. And actually personally went to the field to check on the research assistants, whether they were actually reporting the correct thing or they were cooking up the data. And I was appalled to find that it was actually true. The second one was, I was working in a certain hospital and somebody came in and she'd been raped and she had nothing. No money and no identity card, nothing. And we were sort of going to decline for her to be seen. And I got involved between her skirmishes and the cashier. And finally, when I went in, I had to pay for me to attend to her. And then I realized that she had been raped. And I realized that this could be happening to a lot of many other people. And in my mind, I told myself, I'm going to have to do in my own small way, be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And hence, when I founded the Nairobi Women's Hospital, the first thing I said, well, as a policy, anybody who comes here and they're abused, we're going to give free services.
This small ad hoc project has taken a life of its own in the name of GVRC, Gender Violence Recovery Center. Issues touching on rape are very emotive. The real figures on the ground are staggering. From a medical standpoint, it is easy to develop indifference to statistics and to look at them as mere figures. But Dr. Thenya warns that
statistics do not tell you the true story, because even if one person is raped, for them that's 100%. There's no half rape or full rape.
Every day, Christine, who is a trained counselor, puts her face and name a life on these statistics.
One, there's a baby that was brought here of 6 months, and she was defiled by the dad. The hymen was torn, and the mother was leaving the baby with the husband, going to work, coming back in the evening, trusting your husband like any other woman would do, only to realize that that particular day this baby was crying. In whatever position she tried to hold the baby, she kept on crying until she checked her on her private part. She was so bruised, she was bleeding, and she decided to bring her to hospital.
Contrary to stereotypical assumptions, rape is not just a woman's problem.
When a woman is raped, it affects her husband, her father, her brother, and the rest of the males in her life. So, and let me tell you, if you've been there and seen a father looking at his 4-year-old who's been abused and bleeding, and how helpless they look, if they got hold of that rapist, they'll strangle him.
It is such a harrowing experience for the survivor.
When it happens to a member of your family, life will never be the same again. You can imagine the fear they walk in, knowing that you don't know what dark shadows hide.
Psychologically, the damage can be debilitating. The process to mitigate the consequences takes a long time, a very long time.
Yeah, many, but one was for a boy who had been blasted all over. With this kid, the bladders had gone, the anus had gone, the urines, they were all together moving out. It was very traumatizing. The boy has come here 5 times for the operation, and still he will come back for another operation.
Oh, I feel bad, and I feel a lot of pain when you see kids, innocent children who do not understand anything, going through what even if it's a grown-up, it is very, very painful for you as a grown-up. So when you see a child go through that, I feel a lot of pain. I feel like somewhere very special has been touched.
As a second-order effect, rape spills over to other aspects of the society. It curtails the victim's contribution to development.
The productivity, the wastage in terms of medical supplies, the productivity of these women, and actually if you look at the loss to the national economy, it's huge. It's really huge.
It has a ripple effect to the husband. Some women will never again appreciate sex anymore. That means it's trouble in a marriage. It might even lead to a divorce. And if it leads to a divorce, what happens to the children? So if we go out there and start connecting gender-based violence to our day-to-day life so that it doesn't look like a women's issue, a children's issue, or a few men's issue, we connect it to our daily lives.
Since its inception, Gender Violence Recovery Center has treated over 10,890 survivors. Currently, GVRC offers a full range of services. This is in an effort to effectively address this seemingly intractable problem. The center's care package comes in a four-pronged approach: free medical treatment, psychological support, social support, and the gender-based violence monitoring unit. We visited one of the children counseling rooms. The setting is very serene. Here, the young survivor sits, relaxes, and starts to make the baby steps on the recovery path. The decor is just right to help them reconnect with a world that belongs to a child. To bolster the work of its counseling staff, the center also draws from its support networks.
Yes, we have done that to some extent, in that most of these people leave their contact, so we can call upon them anytime we need them. But we've also had some of them working in our departments as volunteers. So they have come in, some of them have even gone and done counseling courses, and they've come back to work as volunteers in the hospital.
Other than that, Teresa explains that sexual and gender-based violence is a problem that is embedded in our social system and whose solution is out there in the wider society.
The social work bit, where we have referrals to shelter homes, referral to legal aid organizations where they can get legal aid services. It also means giving them support to see where they're going back, their homes, that they will be accepted, that the community will also see the need to continue supporting them after they've gone through that horrific experience.
Other than working with the survivors, GVRC has also left an indelible mark with its monitoring unit. The data and the human story behind it are the building blocks of informed legislations. During the preparatory stages of the Sexual Offences Act 2006, GVRC stood out as a major player.
I would say the only institution that would give now, statistics as it were updated was the Gender Violence Recovery Center.
Dr. Thenya, who also sits in the AG's Implementation Committee, used the database collected by the center to inform the drafting of this monumental legislation.
And we worked very closely with Honorable Joe Kidogo to make sure that that became a reality. I personally give lectures to members of parliament, religious leaders, just to give them the medical part of exactly what it means and what it takes and what exactly happens.
For all its comprehensiveness, the Sexual Offences Act 2006 needs a little tweaking to make it even better. In the same breath, Dr. Thenya castigates the laxity witnessed in the judicial system in its dispensation of justice.
What really worries me is when I read of a case where somebody has been accused of rape, they are convicted and they are jailed for 5 years. It tells me that that magistrate really either did not know about the Sexual Offences Act or choose to ignore it, because it's very clear about minimum sentences.
Rape is a societal problem, one that is caught up at an intersection of dynamic cultures and attitudes. Some ill-informed people would say that one can deserve it, or even that it has got something to do with the way women dress.
No. A mode of dressing has nothing to do with rape. What does a 6-month-old baby dress into? Other than a pamper and maybe some short dress, yeah? I mean, a normal man, what would he be attracted to a 6-month-old baby?
This really is not about culture. This is about HIV/AIDS. This is about destroying the lives of our children. This is about destroying this country. And we need leadership in this, people who care enough, because our cultures are rich in a lot of things.